Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review, and this is the fan channel exclusive Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection 2-pack, the Fighting Spirit Green Ranger and the Mighty Morphin Putty 2-pack. What an awesome pack. I'm super excited about it. If you guys saw my unboxing video, you'll see that I got it. GameStop received it today, and I was able to pick it up. The store manager actually told me about it, that they got it, and he held it for me, so much appreciated. Thank you so much, and I cannot wait. So I'm not real familiar with the Fighting Spirit version of the Green Ranger. I know that it is not exactly Mighty Morphin. It was in a later season or a later episode or something about it. I am going to check up on it a little bit, but I'm actually really excited for the Putty figure because I never thought we would actually get one of these, so I'm super stoked about it, and it's pretty awesome. So the packaging looks pretty cool. We get Putty there, Green Ranger there on the side, just like with the 2-pack of the San Diego Comic-Con Red Ranger with Dragon Shield and the Zeo Gold Ranger, so it's very similar style packaging. We get the lightning bolt up there, green and gray, finishes off the Putty head on that side, finishes off the Green Ranger helmet there on that side. Get the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers logo right there in that top corner. Pretty cool. There on the back of the package is a look at the two figures in a nice little pose. There is no bio though, so that's kind of interesting. I thought all these Power Ranger figures actually had bios on the back of the package. I know the Comic-Con one did. This one has nothing. There's nothing there. I kind of would have liked to have seen something to understand a little bit more about the Fighting Spirit Green Ranger and to kind of know a little bit more about the Putty, because I honestly don't remember a whole lot other than there's a bunch of them and they always get defeated super easy, but really cool. I know this is kind of an army building pack, so I think people are a little disappointed that it's in a 2-pack with a Green Ranger, so you end up getting 10 Green Rangers because your guys are going to buy all the 2-packs so you can have a Putty army, and then you're going to have all these extra Green Rangers laying around, I'm sure. But anyway, let's get right to it. If you guys need the UPC, there it is there. It is not exclusive to GameStop. Remember, it is a fan channel exclusive, so Hasbro Pulse, Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, GameStop. I will have a link in the description below so you can put in an order for one. So without further ado, let's get right to it. And here are the Putty and Green Ranger figures out of the package. And what an awesome 2-pack. So lots of accessories, so I'm very happy with it. The Putty looks cool. A couple of minor things when looking at first impressions. I think Putty's face should be darker. I don't know, it's really light gray. I'm not sure exactly why, but it should be a little bit darker. Green Ranger, he is cool, but again, he is not the Mighty Morphin Green Ranger. It is the Fighting Spirit, so it is a little bit different. So a lot of you guys have commented on my haul, my unboxing video, and talking about why this version is different. I guess Disney screwed things up, or however it works out, but they had to recreate the costume for that particular episode, and they did it wrong. He has a silver, well, actually really looks white morpher instead of a gold morpher. The holster or whatever for the dagger is on the wrong side and it's white instead of black. So there's a couple things. Obviously the big one is the silver on the helmet. So I think they used the suit again in another episode, but it was digitally corrected based on the Mighty Morphin or whatever. It all sounds kind of... I couldn't actually find a whole lot of information, but I didn't really look too hard. So it was pretty interesting. But this is a very cool 2-pack that I'm very happy to have. Even though it's not the standard Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, I am very happy to have it. I remember as a kid going into a Toys R Us and seeing the Green Ranger figure and Dragon Zord together in one box. And being super excited about it. I think those figures were like 9-inch figures or whatever they were. I had them all. And then when that Green Ranger with Dragon Zord came out, I was just like, oh my god, I have to have this. And it was torture. I think my brother and I, we had walked over to Toys R Us in San Jose over by Campbell on Winchester. So we walked over there. We were young kids, right? We shouldn't have been walking around, but we had walked over there and seen it. And I waited like hours until my mom got off of work and would go and pick it up and buy it for us. And it was a very exciting day, needless to say. So very cool. So it comes full circle here. now 25 plus years later or whatever it is to get this Hasbro version. So again, extremely happy. First, let's get right to it. We're actually going to take a look at the Putty figure first, then the Green Ranger. Let's get to it. Okay, here's an up-close look at the Putty figure, and again, I think it looks really good. We get some nice sculpted texturing throughout the face and everything, but it's too light color. Should be a little bit darker. Nice red paint for the eyes, little bit of black in the mouth, and that looks good. There's not a whole lot of paint apps on this figure. We get these black streaks there on the shoulder and the upper torso a little bit. Really, that's it. We get this belt piece here. That's a floating piece that could kind of move around. You can turn it a little bit. Boots are a darker color a little bit, and then the arms all have this nice kind of dark wash over them. They're done in a darker gray and have this rocky texture, so those actually came out looking really good. He has a couple of different pieces for his hands as well. So that was just kind of an open hand there, and again, they look really good. Now, one of the things that Hasbro, and leave it to Hasbro, of course they would figure out how to do this, is how to reuse all these parts. So this figure is 90% the same figure as the Rangers. So the torso piece, the legs, the boots, everything, it's all the same figure that you'll find on a Ranger figure. They switch out this belt piece because that's they can easily change out that piece, but it's all basically the same figure. So it's the same torso, everything. That's why we get the butterfly joints, the same legs, and the same boots. And I can really tell because these same feet over and over and over again. I don't mind. It all looks pretty good. That's the name of the game when it comes to toys, unless you like, Tamashii Nations, SH Figure Arts, import premium figures that change sculpts on every figure. On a $20 figure, this is what happens. It's nothing new. I don't mind it. One unfortunate thing is my right butterfly joint is very loose on mine, and then his head, you get a little bit of wobble in there, but it's not too bad. Let's zoom out and take a look at his accessories and his articulation. Okay, so the accessories specific to the Putty are actually these interchangeable hands. So you get one that could go on the right and then one that could go on the left. I mean, you could this one and then the knife kind of one, you could kind of switch around any way you kind of see fit, but you can kind of see where the thumb would be on this to know which hand it goes on. So I'm kind of going with that. And then obviously this one has to go on the certain one, but still pretty cool. And then we kind of get this blast effect which can actually go right on the end of his little sword arm type of deal, and you can see it just kind of ports right on in there. This is not the same piece that came with the White Ranger, and this is a different piece, so it just sits on there like that. That looks pretty good. I like the way that works, but those hands are pretty cool. As we look at the articulation, I'll switch them out and try them on. Okay, so let's look at the articulation here. So the Putty, he can look down that much and he can look up that much, so there's better movement going up than down. Tiny wiggle room for a pivot, not a whole lot, but you do get a full swivel there. Shoulders can come up that high, so that is awesome there. You get a full rotation, of course. Butterfly joint, which gets you motion that far back, that far forward, so that works out pretty well. This one's a little loose, but again, this one is super loose. Actually, it wasn't as bad when it was the shoulder arm was up, but it's loose. There's an upper bicep swivel right in there. You get a double jointed elbow, which works out pretty well. I like that bend on there. And then these ones have a different forearm. There is a swivel there, and that's actually where these interchangeable pieces kind of pop out. So you can see it's just a large peg there, and then you can get the hand and you can just port that new one on in there. And this one's, you gotta really work it to get it on there. It's kind of a rubbery material. It's not a hard plastic, so it's really soft. That's why it was a little bit tricky getting on there. And then it just fits on like so. So there's kind of a standard Putty, so you can kind of mix them around. I'm sure lots of people will kind of army build this 2-pack and probably sell off those Green Rangers to get a bunch of these guys. There's a diaphragm joint, so you can get some good pivot going that way, good pivot going that way. You can go forward a little bit, you can go back. Not a whole lot going back, but there's also that lower torso ab crunch in there that doesn't want to cooperate with me. So you can get them going down that much since you have the 2 points of articulation in there. Going back, you could do back quite a bit with that ab crunch on there. Now, due to the diaphragm and the ab crunch, there is no waist swivel. No waist swivel on any of these Power Rangers figures. Legs can go out that far apart. He can kick that far forward, not a huge amount, but a little bit. You're not going to get any back motion. Upper thigh cut there. You get a double jointed knee, which works out quite well. There is a boot swivel there. Foot hinges down a little bit, not a whole lot, unless you can work that foot over that hinge, and you can go up a little bit unless you can work that boot in there, and then we get ankle pivot peg holes at the bottom. So good motion for the Putty Patrol figure. Now let's look at the Green Ranger. Real quick before moving on to the Green Ranger, so I did look up some other images again, and I think I'm confusing the Season 2, the Lord Zed Putty with the Rita's Putty, because the Lord Zed ones definitely had the darker faces. So I may be wrong. In some pictures I see them with a darker face, and then some I see them with the lighter face. So you guys let me know down in the comments below which one you think would be more accurate, or which version or look do you prefer. Anyway, on to the Green Ranger. Okay, and here's an up-close look at the Green Ranger figure, and I'm very happy with this figure, but a couple of things. The Dragon Dagger is really cool. I like that he comes with his hand to show that he's kind of playing the flute, like pressing the buttons there. If it'll ever zoom, focus on there. So that is really cool, but it's really hard to kind of get into that position where it's in front of his head and holding it out to the side, kind of like that, and then he doesn't come with the holding hand to kind of hold it in place like he does in some, but you know, it just kind of depends. You can find images where he's just, you know, the one hand holding it, but you're not going to get it any close. Even with the awesome butterfly joint that's in there, it's just not going to quite work out, but that's not too big of a deal for me. I'm still very happy with it, and I'm glad that they included that hand. Now, one thing that's on mine that I cannot unsee now that I've seen it is the silver on the visor doesn't quite come together evenly. So, you know, it kind of goes up a little bit higher on that end. I would have liked it to kind of meet together, but now that I've seen that on mine, I can't unsee that. So if you have the opportunity to kind of look at yours and kind of pick and choose, I did not. I got the one that was being held for me, and it almost got sold. Thank God it didn't. But it just, you know, it's just there. It's a little annoying, not terrible. I won't be changing it out or anything like that. The silver stripes in the helmet, I kind of like the way they look. I'm not sure, you know, why it became such a big deal that, you know, it was all inaccurate. You know, it's not a bad look. All green still looks good too, but you know, it is what it is. The gold dragon shield, it's not a super gold, it's kind of a yellowish color, but I still think it looks gold enough. It's not terrible. Looking at it compared to like the Red Ranger from the Comic-Con set, it's basically the same. Maybe depending on light, looks a little bit shinier, I guess. You know, you could see the way the light kind of shines off of the Green Ranger more than the Red Ranger, so you know, maybe just depending on the angle that you can get it. You know, when I'm looking at it, there seems to be, in hand, it seems to have a little bit more shine to it than the Red Ranger. But, you know, these are basically the same exact figures now. You know, different heads, of course, and then different morphers, because that belt piece, you know, can just be changed out, and we do get the dragon coin there. But looks pretty good. So it's all basically, again, the same exact figure. Really no difference except the heads, and then that belt. So, but it does look really good. The gold that's applied on the arms, the gloves, and then the boots all came out looking really good. I have no complaints. Paint apps are pretty solid throughout the figure. Nothing a whole lot really going on the back. Yeah, I like it. I think it looks good. Let's check out its accessories and see his articulation. Okay, for accessories we get the Dragon Dagger. Now this is the same one that we had seen with the Red Ranger in the San Diego Comic-Con. The only difference is slightly different paint apps. There were a different shade of green that was used, but it is the same thing. It looks pretty good. Here now we have the Sword of Darkness, which looks pretty good. It's just a kind of a silver paint, a little bit silver, which is nice. We get a little bit of black on there, some red, and then this is kind of that hanging little sash piece, but I don't know exactly what that's called. The hilt is white, and that looks pretty good. It's pretty thin, but you know, it holds up pretty well. Surprisingly not too warped and not so bad out of the package, but it looks pretty good. There's some nice actual like sculpted detail in there. It's hard to kind of get in close enough to see it, but you can actually see some nice little sculpted detail in the blade itself. That looks really good. We get this Tommy Oliver head. This is the same one that came with the White Ranger, so that is nothing new. When I think of Green Ranger, I think, his hair's down, not in a ponytail. So maybe with a standard Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, we'll get that. Who knows? We get a set of interchangeable hands actually out of the package. This one on his right hand, the open hand, is what is in the package. Left hand, we get the straight hand, karate chop type hand, fist on the figure, and then this was the dagger holding one, the flute playing one. And then we get this new green lightning piece, so that is pretty cool. And you could see how the sword would kind of slip in through that sword of darkness, so you could see it's kind of the way it's kind of made, the sword kind of sit in there and it kind of holds it in place. So that is pretty cool. So now let's take a look at his articulation. Okay, so for articulation on the Green Ranger, he can look down, he can look up slightly. Don't push it too much because you'll pop the head off and destroy everything that's around like I just did. So it's a decent amount, it's not a huge amount, but it works out well. You get a full swivel, little bit of pivot in there, not a whole lot. Shoulders can go up that high. Dragon shield really doesn't get in the way. It's pretty soft rubber plastic material, so it can kind of move around pretty well. There's the butterfly joint, but it's a little bit hard to kind of tell with the dragon shield on there, but it's the same, that we've seen with the other Ranger figures, and even with the Putty figure that we just saw. There's an upper bicep swivel there. Whoops, being a little rough today. Double jointed elbow, and then we get a swivel and hinge at the wrist, and that goes the same for both sides. We get the diaphragm joint, so you can pivot that way, forward only so much, back a little bit, but then we get that nice ab crunch in there as well to make it go even more so, and then going back goes a crazy amount. So that is awesome. Again, no waist swivel on these Power Ranger figures. Legs go out that far apart, can't kick that far forward. Back, it's no-go. Upper thigh cut there, double jointed knee, which works out quite well. Boot swivel, foot hinges all the way down. See, my Putty one couldn't quite do this, but you can hinge it all the way down. And then hinging it up, you got to kind of work it around that boot piece. It does go up a little bit, but you get a nice ankle pivot. And again, those are the same boots and everything as the Putty figure. So good articulation on the Green Ranger. Very, very happy to have him as he falls. Okay, so before we go, here are some comparisons. So here is the Red Ranger alongside the Green Ranger, and they look great together. And here is the White Ranger and the Green Ranger, both Tommy Oliver together, and I think they look great. These are my two favorite Rangers side by side, so I'm very, very, very excited for that. One thing I do want to show you guys here, because I forgot to show that, is the Tommy Oliver head on the Green Ranger, and that looks awesome. I really like the way that looks. Okay, and here he is next to Lord Zed. You can see Lord Zed is much taller than him. Okay, and here is my entire Power Rangers Lightning collection. So these are all the figures that I have, again, because I'm sticking to only Mighty Morphin and Zeo. I am not familiar with any of the other seasons, really, so there's nothing driving me to collect any of the other seasons. As awesome as some of those figures may look, they're just not for me, but I am all in for Mighty Morphin and Zeo, and I'm loving what Hasbro is doing. You guys let me know down in the comments below what you think of the Lightning Collection figures. Is Hasbro doing them justice or not? You guys let me know. If you guys like the video, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.